Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I would like to start off the show and point out that I tried everything I could to be less than 8 minutes late, so Gemstone was wrong. You're welcome.
Hi, guys.
Hope y'all are doing well. Yeah, how are you, Digger?
I am. I've got an abscessed tooth, it turns out. So that's
Oh,
why
that
my head
sucks.
hurts and my face is swollen.
Oh, that's no
Yeah.
fun.
No, but at least I know what it is. So, we can fix it.
Right,
So, yeah.
right.
But
So,
yeah, other than that, life is good. I missed it, but apparently the geese were teaching their baby geese how to fly. Flying lessons started this morning.
okay.
So apparently my man just lives a few doors down, and he was able to watch them as they took their first jump off the roof of the house they were born on and landing into the ground. So it's quite interesting, quite fun to watch. I'm not quite sure how they get them back up onto the roof the first few times, but eventually they learn to fly.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Canada's about to lose half their population, so.
Well, yeah, we'll replace them with geese.
Yeah. Um, no, that's cool. That's really neat. I've never
Mhm.
I've never seen them fly. Those things are mean.
Yeah, you should see them when they're pregnant or protecting their eggies.
They are not pleasant
No,
fellas.
no,
So,
no. But there's
um,
a pair of geese and a pair of ducks. They come back year after year, and they have their babies together on the same house roof across the creek from us.
oh, that's
So,
really cool.
yeah, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's incredible how much they travel and how they can get back to the same exact spot.
Yeah, well, it's neat. This year the duck couple came back, but they had a male duck tagging along with them. So I'm thinking it's probably their son from last
Hmm,
year. That's my best guess because usually this time of year there's one man and one woman, and that's it. There wouldn't usually be a second male duck hanging around.
okay.
So my guess is it's probably an offspring, which is why it's not getting the shit kicked out of it. Because
That's
ducks
neat.
are mean too.
Speaking of Canadians, I'm gonna self-plug myself for 3 seconds.
Woohoo!
If you're into hockey, the Stanley Cup
Ah,
playoffs have started. There's my preview on my other channel.
I didn't
Um,
get a notification. I found it after the fact.
it happens.
Yeah.
But kind of what I think about the first round, and I'm super stoked. My Avs play again tonight, so
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
I'm kind of super stoked too because not only did the Knuckleheads make it in, but so did the Oilers. And the best of the best is the Flames didn't make it. So woohoo! I've got family who are diehard Calgary Flames fans. A few of them live in Calgary. So
Oh,
yeah, it 9 times out of 10, it's them rubbing my face in it. So
mhm,
this year is super skookum. I've got both my teams in, and their team sucks.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, I've actually been to the Saddle Dome out in Calgary. It's
Oh, it's
interesting
nice.
stadium.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, I mean the Canadians have the best shot in probably the last 20 years at least
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
to make a team into the Stanley Cup. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Crossing fingers. Even if we can
hmm
just get in there, you know, just break that much of the streak is great for me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you guys, Canadians should have a chance to return Stanley. I mean, not a great chance because Colorado's going to win it, but
Well,
um,
obviously.
yeah,
Don't worry. The Knuckleheads, they choke at the end every time.
yeah,
I've been cheering for them for 30 years now. And yeah, they always do this. They get in and they get in by the skin of their teeth and they just barely, barely, barely get there and then they lose. Right? Right when it counts, they lose. And then they go off to their little golfing summer break. So,
sounds
yeah.
incredible right now. Um, I think they won their first game. I watched some of it, but I don't remember it. But
I'm I have to watch it via like YouTube or whatever, so I always watch it after the fact. I don't get to watch.
Oh,
Yeah, unless someone knows
well,
how to watch them free live without having to pay for TV.
well, uh, a certain Meatwad streams pretty much every game in
Oh,
Discord. So if you ever
oh,
want to watch, so
good to know. Good to know. I will take you up on it.
yeah, we watched a lot of hockey in there. So
Okay.
and every other sport, UFC,
Yeah, I've
you know.
seen the others. Oh,
So
wait a minute. You've got UFC too?
oh yeah, we watch UFC all the time.
Oh, my
So
UFC friend, he passed. It's been like
oh
a year now since he died. And yeah, I haven't caught a fight for at least a year now.
damn, yeah, we've watched I think probably the last 3 or 4 fights in
Ooh.
in total. So
All right. Well, I will
yeah,
definitely make a point of that then. I
yeah.
need to see men beating on men every now and again, or else the life isn't worth it.
There was some Asian women that had one hell of a fight the other night. It
Oh,
was
I heard about that. Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
At least we think they're Asian women. You can never tell anymore, but
No,
the
no.
assumption is that they're Asian women.
Well, yeah, I tend to assume they're women unless they're being touted as women, at which point, if they're making a point of the fact that they're a woman, then we know they're not.
It's a good message to live by, or a good way to think of it. So,
Yeah.
huh.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good time. So,
Yeah. Oh, Gemstone, he's making a good point. We've discovered King of the Streets, and
oh,
it's like pride fighting, bare knuckles, like no rules. So it's even better than the pride fighting. There's no rules, and it's in empty warehouses or parking lots and stuff like that. It's
huh.
yeah, it's insane,
That sounds like fun.
and it's on YouTube. So there you go.
I have so many questions. None of them I'm even going to remotely start answering here or asking here, but so many questions.
It would be
So,
pretty wild.
well,
Oh,
back on topic. Now that
okay.
we're around the world, the end of the Templar. So we're going to continue on the Knights Templar and uh, kind of down that path of
Yeah.
discovery. Um, yeah, we started last week. So if you didn't see last week, go check it out. So on and so forth, and yeah,
Away we go.
yeah. If you don't have anything to add, we'll get.
No, I think at this point everyone knows the Templars, at least
Mhm.
vaguely. So from this point onwards, you're going to start to recognize more and more players. And just remember, no matter what the name they're using, it all boils back down to the mysteries.
Right.
So it gets very eerie soon. You start to see it in your daily life.
Well, kind of like, see, I start and then I just get sidetracked. Kind of like if the United States sends, what is it, $95 billion to 2 countries that have
Yeah.
no business doing either one. Like, it's kind of like somebody's on the same team and, well, and part of the reason why I brought that up is because I don't know if you saw this, but the somebody, and I don't know who the hell he is, and he should probably be tried for treason if we're being honest, but gave Zelensky a list of the Republican senators that supported the bill to give him another 60 billion or whatever the hell it was.
Oh, what?
Yeah, yeah. Somebody gave the
Okay.
list to Vladimir Zelensky. I'll see if I can
So is he
see
going
it.
to send them all thank you notes?
I think he's looking for the ones that weren't there.
I see.
Let me see if I can find it because he
Oh,
was very.
what a twit. He's not scary in the least.
No.
Like,
Yeah. Here's a good Dinesh D'Souza.
hmm.
And then I fucked it up. Why does Zelensky need a list of the members of Congress who voted for the $61 billion payment to Ukraine? What could he possibly do with this information?
Huh.
And
yeah, see, that's what I was thinking right off the top. Kickbacks. He's sending a little thank you note to everyone.
well, even kickbacks, like it's got to be, in my opinion, there's got to be more to it.
Oh yeah,
More to it because
the names are probably going to end up on that little kill list of his.
Yeah, I mean, you're selling out your home country for sending more money to a foreign entity that, I mean, doesn't care, doesn't have anything to do with anything.
Yeah.
It's just insane to me. It's insane how we continue to go down this path over and over again. I don't think the video has anything spectacular.
Bill Keating from Massachusetts.
We'll watch.
And I have something that you're really going to like.
Yeah.
This is the official tally of the vote.
Yes, I see.
For the supplemental aid.
Yes.
And look at that vote. 73%.
Yes. Thank you so much. 73.
That's a good vote.
Good, very good. Thank you very much. No, sir.
Bill Keating from Massachusetts.
So that's Bill Keating
Wow.
from Massachusetts. So that's the, yeah, I mean,
And the fact that they had to make that like a newsworthy event, that's
Right.
really odd. Like they're definitely sending some messages with that one.
well, that's why I tried to tie it into the show a little bit, because it seems like, again, that this cabal, for lack of a better term, they're combined in their efforts of, this is kind of an acceptable thing, and they're trying to flaunt that they're on this team and we're not.
Yep.
And that's how it, when I first saw it, that's how it immediately came back to me. Is I'm like, well, they're just trying to show us that they're still in control, and this is what they do, and this is how they do it, and that's
Yeah.
irritating. So
I'd be keeping an eye out on the ones that didn't vote for it. I'm
Right.
wondering how many of them are gonna, decide to take a little walk in the woods by themselves and not come back. That
Mhm.
sort of thing, or who retires suddenly.
right. Who's gonna step away?
Yeah.
Or
Well,
And I-
Mitch McConnell, it took what, strokes wouldn't get him out of the place. They had to kill his sister-in-law off. Like,
Right. Right.
So, and they're suing. Isn't his wife that's getting sued, her company?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So he did
There's some-
something wrong. He pissed someone off.
oh yeah. And that leads up to this whole thing of, is this just another way that they're trying to let us know who's in charge, who's responsible for what's going on, that kind of thing. So
Yeah. They just I used to think it was crazy, and I was just seeing a one-off, but the more I learn, the more I see, and it really is in our everyday life. They're constantly telling us what they're about to do before they do it, sometimes months and years in advance.
Yeah.
But if we're not awake to what's going on and how they work, you have no idea,
Right.
So,
Right.
like I said, the Templars, this is the end of the Templars, but the mysteries continue on, and these people have now, just at the Templars era, they have got some of the most powerful people in most of the most powerful positions in the world, and they're only going to continue to procreate and expand and take more power. So this is, what, hundreds of years before our parents were thought of, and
Right.
yet these people, this group of groups, they've already got such control over the world. So it's really no surprise that we're at the place we are now. They've been working on it forever.
Well, and if they're that deeply embedded, aren't we kind of screwed?
Kind of, but I always cheer for the underdog.
Okay.
So yeah, we got to try.
That's why you're a Canucks fan, and I'm an
Exactly.
Avs fan.
Exactly. That's it in a nutshell.
Oh.
Someday something might change.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But with that being said, we should probably get into it before too
Too much
long, and
longer.
then we'll come back to this, I'm sure, because it will come up
Oh, I'm sure.
based
Yeah.
on, so.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get into or hour 13, End of the Templars.
Awesome.
I'm William Cooper, and you're listening to the Hour of the Time. Well, folks, we've been getting calls from all over the nation, and even in some foreign countries, they have been worried. They've called Stan. His phone has been ringing off the hook. It seems some rather spurious and ambitious individuals have been spreading the rumor by word of mouth, by the written word, and even on talk radio all across this country that I'm dead. Well, folks, here's my answer to that. To all of my regular listeners and all the ships at sea around the world, it's me, William Cooper, speaking to you from the dead, where I have indeed seen the light, and I turned it off. One of the most disgraceful acts which stain the annals of the Templars, says even one of their ardent admirers, occurred in the year 1155, when Bertrand de Blancford, whom William of Tyre calls a, quote, pious and God-fearing man, unquote, was master of the order. In a contest for the supreme power in Egypt, which the viziers bearing the proud title of Sultan exercised under the phantom caliphs, Sultan Abbas, who had put to death the caliph, his master, found himself obliged to fly from before the vengeance of the incensed people. With his harem and his own and a great part of the royal treasures, he took his way through the desert. Well, a body of Christians, chiefly Templars, lay in wait for the fugitives near Ascalon. The resistance offered by the Moslems was slight and very ineffectual. Abbas himself was either slain or he fled, and his son, Nasiruddin, professed his desire to become a Christian. The far larger part of the booty, of course, fell to the Templars, but this did not satisfy their avarice. They sold Nasiruddin to his father's enemies for 60,000 pieces of gold. Now, if you think that's a lot of money in this day and age, it was a veritable king's ransom in that. And they stood by to see him bound hand and foot and placed in a sort of cage or iron latticed sedan on a camel to be conducted to Egypt, where a death by protracted torture awaited him. It was not the Templars alone, folks, who were guilty of arrogance and worse. The Hospitallers had deteriorated from their first fine beginnings, and the annals of both orders are not innocent of unpleasantness, though they are indeed well filled with tales of glory. The Hospitallers, for instance, refused to pay tithes to the Patriarch of Jerusalem, even going so far as to erect immense buildings in front of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre as a practical demonstration of their own importance. And when the Patriarch entered his church, they rang their bells so loudly that he could not make himself heard. There is an occasion recorded when, quote, the congregation was assembled in church, the Hospitallers rushed into it in arms and shot arrows among them as if they were robbers or infidels. These arrows were collected and hung up on Mount Calvary, where Christ had been crucified, to the scandal of these recreant knights. On applying to Pope Adrian IV for redress, the Syrian clergy found him and his cardinals so prepossessed in favor of his enemies, bribed by them in fact, as was said, that they had no chance of relief, unquote. This then, folks, was the background of the rise of the Templars and the flavor of their environment. Now, if one adds to these elements the fact that various very heterodox sects, Gnostic, Manichae, and the rest still lurked in the Holy Land, together with a great deal of magic and superstition of every kind, then there is a possibility, to say the least, that the Templars were infected by it. The facts indeed show that they were not only infected, but taken by it, and were initiated into not only the branch known as the Assassins, but veritably arose from the secret sects in Syria. The contention which has been made that such heresies and archaic religions and practices did not survive until the Templar period is demonstrably false. Although much play has been made of it by those who would defend the order, for do such sects not endure there until this very day? Well, this is not to say that the Templars were guilty of the practices which formed the substance of the confessions later to be wrung from them by barbaric torture, which we will examine in due course. But a secret tradition and magical rites may well have played a part in their hidden lore and practices. It should also be remembered, folks, that towards the end, there were Templars who were of actual Palestinian birth, who would have every opportunity of absorbing the unorthodox beliefs of the many schools of a magical religious nature which existed in the area. The Grand Master Philippe of Nablus in 1167, for instance, was a Syrian, and many crusaders were Levantine lords, whatever their original blood, speaking Arabic with perfection. It was in 1162 that the Magna Carta of the order was obtained by the Templars. The bull Omne Datum Optimum, often described as the keystone of their power. And through this instrument, they were able to consolidate their authority and preserve their secrets against intrusion. They were to find, too, that it did much to excite the envy of their opponents. Pope Adrian IV had died. The two rival popes were elected, Alexander III by the Sicilian group and Victor III by the imperial party. At first, the Templars acknowledged Victor, but in 1161 they switched their allegiance to Alexander. There was probably some sort of secret arrangement behind this, for by January 7th of the following year, the famous bull was issued. By the terms of this document, the Templars were released from all spiritual ties except to the Holy See itself. They were permitted to have special burial grounds in their own houses. They could have chaplains of their own. They had no tithes to pay, which in that day and age was miraculous, and were allowed to receive tithes, which was absolutely incredible. Nobody who had once entered the order could leave it, except to join one with a stricter discipline. The stage, dear listeners, was set for clerical hatred of the Templars and Hospitallers, who had similar privileges and in fact were one and the same and still are today, although the advantages to the Pope from the combined support of these two orders could hardly be overestimated. In 1184, an incident occurred which inspired a great deal of distrust of the order, although the rarity of its occurrence should have underlined the fact that it was nothing of much consequence. You see, the English knight Robert of St. Albans left the Templars, became a Moslem, and led an army for Saladin against Jerusalem, then in the hands of the Franks. The charge against the Templars that they were secret Mussulmans or allies of the Saracens does not seem borne out by the fact that Saladin accused them of treacherous truce breaking and other crimes, and unlike his usual chivalrous self, took a solemn oath that he would execute such Templar captives as he could obtain as, quote, beyond the limits of Islam and infidelity alike, unquote. Nor did they make any attempts to invoke any religious bond with Saladin when they were captured. As we know from the Arabic Life of Saladin, written contemporaneously by his secretary, Qadi Yusuf, strong evidence of this is given in the events which followed the terrible Battle of Hattin. 2 years before, Saladin had made a pact with the assassins that they would give him a free hand to continue his holy war against the Franks, which we discussed on an earlier program. On July the 1st, 1187, he captured Tiberias. He attacked nearby Hattin at dawn on Friday, July the 3rd. 30,000 Christians were captured, including the king of Jerusalem. No Templar, not one, is mentioned in the detailed Arab account as asking for mercy on religious or any other grounds, although all knew that Saladin had issued a war cry, quote, come to death, Templars, unquote. The Grand Master, Gerard of Rydfort, and several other knights were among those taken. Saladin offered them their lives if they would see the light of the true faith. Well, according to history, none accepted. And all these knights were beheaded except, admittedly, the Templar Grand Master. Could it be that he did accept the true faith, or the light of the true faith, as Saladin had put it? A non-Templar, Reginald of Chatillon, tried to invoke the sacred code of Arab hospitality, and other crusaders claimed that they were Muslims and were spared. None of them were Templars or Hospitallers. Reginald and the Templars collectively were sentenced to death for breaking the truth and the war crime of killing unarmed pilgrims to Mecca. Arab accounts include only a few references which could be construed as indicating any collusion with the Christian army. One says that on the Friday at midday, and the battle lasted for 2 days, Sultan Saladin issued the attack cry to be passed along the Saracen host, quote, on for Islam, unquote, at which the striped banner of the Templars was raised. And the Emir Lion of the Faith said, are those Sultan Saladin Yusuf's allies of whom I have heard from the reconnaissance men? Well, this cannot be regarded as anything at all conclusive. The only other reference is to a body of Templars who went over to the Saracen side and whose supposed descendants survive to this day as the Salabiya, which means Crusader tribe, in North Arabia. This engagement, folks, spelt the end of real Western power in Palestine for over 700 years, although it did stimulate the unsuccessful Third Crusade. Although the Templars and some other Crusaders were still in the Holy Land, they had lost almost all of their possessions there. But in the West lay the real seat of their power. At this time, their European possessions numbered over 7,000 estates and foundations. Although principally concentrated in France and England, they had extensive properties in Portugal, Castile, Leon, Scotland, and Ireland, Germany, Italy, and Sicily. When Jerusalem was lost, their headquarters were transferred to Paris. This building, like all their branch churches, was known as the Temple. It was here that the French king Philip the Fair took refuge in 1306 to escape a civil commotion. It is said that this visit gave him his first insight into the real wealth of the order. Now remember, the wealth was not for the members, for they practiced the first true socialism, international socialism, or communism. The fabulous treasures which his host showed him, giving the bankrupt monarch the idea to plunder the knights on the pretext that they were dominated by heresies. Philippe the Fair was not entirely without some grounds for attacking the Templars. For in 1208 we find Pope Innocent III, a great friend of the order, censuring them publicly for, quote, causing their churches to be thrown open for mass to be said every day with loud ringing of bells, bearing the cross of Christ on their breast, but not caring to follow his doctrines, which forbid giving offense to the little ones who believe in him. Following the doctrines of demons, they affixed their cross of the order upon the breast of every kind of scoundrel, asserting that whoever, by paying 2 or 3 pence a year, became one of their fraternity, could not, even if interdicted, be deprived of Christian burial. And thus they themselves, being captive to the devil, ceased not to make captive the souls of the faithful, seeking to make alive those whom they knew to be dead." Unquote. The first sign of an attempt to bring some sort of physical restraint upon the Templars came from Henry III of England. For in 1252 he hinted that he might try to seize some of the property of the order. Quote, "You prelates and religious," he said, "especially you Templars and Hospitallers, have so many liberties and charters that your enormous possessions make you rave with pride and haughtiness. What was imprudently given must therefore be prudently revoked, and what was inconsiderately bestowed must be considerately recalled." Unquote. Those were the words of the king. The master of the Templars immediately replied, quote, "What sayest thou, O king? Far be it that thy mouth should utter so disagreeable and silly a word. So long as thou dost exercise justice, thou wilt reign. But if thou infringe it, thou wilt cease to be king." Unquote. Now remember that the Knights Templar at that time were the very first international bankers. They were the wealthiest order, wealthiest group then known in the world, even surpassing the kings of the different countries that existed. And even though the Hospitallers were created before the Knights Templar, eventually the two became the same order, though to the public and to the rulers of Europe, they were different orders with different names. The haughty Templars of the 14th century owned land and revenues, gained steadily in honor and importance. They might have had thrones had they wanted them, for such was their power towards the end that, banded together, as one historian points out, they could have overcome more than one of the smaller countries of Europe. Perhaps, though, they aimed even higher than that. If their eventual aim was world hegemony, they could not have organized themselves better or planned their aristocratic hierarchy more thoroughly. And you will see that that's been carried over even unto the modern day. The pride, arrogance, and complete confidence and self-sufficiency of the order is something which shows through even the least inspired pages of the chroniclers. Their power was legendary. Everywhere they had churches, chapels, tithes, farms, villages, mills, rights of pasturage, of fishing, of venery, of wood. They had also in many places the right of holding annual fairs, which were managed, and the tolls received by some of the brethren of the nearest houses or by their donates or servants. The number of their preceptories is, by the most moderate computation, rated at 9,000. The annual income of the order, put at about 6 millions pounds sterling, an unbelievable, unimaginable sum for those times. Masters of such a revenue descended from the noblest houses in Christendom, uniting in their purses the most esteemed secular and religious characters, regarded as the chosen champions of Christ and the flower of Christian knights. It was not possible for the Templars in such lax times as the 12th and 13th centuries to escape falling into the vices of extravagant luxury and overweening pride. The order, folks, when fully developed, was composed of several classes, chiefly knights, chaplains and serving brothers. Affiliated were those who were attached to the order and worked for it and received its protection without taking its vows. And this affiliation was said to be derived from the Arab clientship association, analogous to blood brotherhood and tribal associations. A candidate for knighthood should prove that he was of a knightly family and entitled, yes, entitled to the distinction. His father must have been a knight or eligible to become one. He had to prove beyond any doubt that he was born in wedlock. The reason for this last requirement was said to be not only religious. There was the possibility that a political head, such as a king or prince, might influence the order by managing to have one of his bastard sons enter it, later perhaps to rise to high rank therein, and finally attaching it to the service of his dominion. The candidate for initiation had to be unmarried and free from all obligations. He should have made no vow nor entered any other order, and he was not to be in debt. Eventually, the competition for admission was so great from eligible people that a very high fee was exacted from those who were to be monk warriors of the temple. All candidates were to be knighted before entry into the order, but the period of probation which was originally demanded was before very long entirely abolished. No young man could be admitted until he was 21 years of age, because he was to be a soldier as well as a monk, and this was the minimum age at which he could bear arms. When a new knight was admitted to the order, the ceremony was held in secret. This fact and persistent rumors caused the belief that certain ceremonies and tenets were put into practice which deviated more than a little from the rituals of the church. The ceremony was held in one of the order's chapels in the presence of the assembled chapter alone. The master or the prior, who took his place in chapels other than those at which he was present, opened the proceedings. Quote, "Beloved brethren, ye see that the majority are agreed to receive this man as a brother. If there be any among you who knows anything of him on account of which he cannot lawfully become a brother, let him say it. For it is better that this should be signified beforehand than after he is brought before us." Unquote. And if no objection was lodged, the aspirant was sent to a small room with 2 or 3 experienced knights to coach him in what he had to know. Quote, "Brother, are you desirous of being associated with the order?" Unquote. If he agreed, they would dwell upon the trials and rigors of being a Templar. They would prepare him for initiation. He had to reply that for the sake of God he was willing to undergo anything and remain in the order for life. They asked him if he had a wife or was betrothed, and he made vows to any other order. Did he owe money more than he could pay? Was he of sound mind and body? Was he the servant of any person? Well, after satisfactory answers, the result was passed to the master. The assembled company was then asked again if they knew anything that might disqualify him, and if none objected, they were asked, "Are you willing that he should be brought in God's name?" The knights answered, quote, "Let him be brought in God's name," unquote. He was now again asked by his sponsors if he still desired to enter the order. Receiving an affirmative reply, they led him to the chapter, where he folded his hands and flung himself upon his knees. Quote, "Sir, I am come before God and before you for the sake of God and our dear Lady to admit me into your society and the good deeds of the order as one who will be all his life long the servant and slave of the order." Unquote. "Beloved brother," answered the receptor, "you are desirous of a great matter, for you see nothing but the outward shell of our order." Now let me repeat that again in case you weren't listening, folks. "Beloved brother," answered the receptor, "you are desirous of a great matter, for you see nothing but the outward shell of our order. It is only the outward shell when you see that we have fine horses and rich comparisons, that we eat and drink well and are splendidly clothed. From this you conclude that you will be well off with us, but you know not the rigorous maxims which are in our interior. For it is a hard matter for you, who are your own master, to become the servant of another. You will hardly be able to perform in future what you wish yourself. For when you may wish to be on this side of the sea, you will be sent to the other side. When you will wish to be in Acre, you will be sent to the district of Antioch, to Tripolis, or to Armenia, or you will be sent to Apulia, to Sicily, or to Lombardy, or to Burgundy, France, England, or any other country where we have houses and possessions, where we wish you to do our will." Further, he says, "When you will wish to sleep, you will be ordered to watch. When you will wish to watch, then you will be ordered to go to bed. When you will wish to eat, then you will be ordered to do something else. And as both we and you might suffer great inconvenience from what you have mayhap concealed from us, look here on the holy evangelists and the word of God, and answer the truth to the questions which we shall put to you. For if you lie, you will be perjured and may be expelled the order from which God keep you." Unquote. Now all the former questions were asked on Holy Writ. If the answers proved acceptable, the receptor continued. Quote, "Beloved brother, take good care that you have spoken the truth to us, for should you have spoken false on any one point, you might be put out of the order from which God keep you. Now, beloved brother, attend strictly to what we shall say unto you. Do you promise to God and to our dear Lady Mary to be all your life long obedient to the master of the temple and to the prior who shall be set over you?" Unquote. And the initiate answers with, "Yea, sir, with the help of God." Again, he is asked, "Do you promise to God and to our dear..."
Okay, that was like a record for longest I let it go. So, there seems to be a common theme
Yep.
with, at least in my opinion, with success and with kind of becoming more and so on and so forth. I mean, you can characterize it however you want to, but so my question to you is, can you be successful? Can you be, let's just go with wealthy. Can you be wealthy? Can you be famous without being part of this system?
I think you can get to a certain point without it. But just let's make it easy from a celebrity point of view. Everyone's hearing about P. Diddy right now. So Cat Williams is a known stand-up comedian. He's an actor. He's been in movies. It's really great, really funny. He was given the opportunity to join the Mysteries, and he turned them down. He turned them down on 3 different occasions. He said no way, and he also kind of disappeared. Right? People don't. I mean, if you were to ask anyone, well, how about you? Do you recognize Cat Williams? Would you be able to pick him out of a lineup? Okay.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of people younger than us can. So he's not very well known. There are people that made it really far. I mean, I think John Voight went really, really far before his conservative or Christian views finally got him blackballed.
Yeah.
You know, so I think there is potential if you're really willing to fight for it. Keanu Reeves is another one. From all accounts, a genuinely decent human being. And he has not been able to be bought out. He is just himself, and it's a wonderful thing. But it nearly cost him his career. He disappeared for a good long time, and it wasn't. I think it was The Matrix that he actually managed to get back out again. Or no, it was Speed that brought him back out again. But he had been on TV quite regular for the 90s, the late 80s and 90s. He was very, very well known, and then he just disappeared off the face of the earth for quite a while. It's because he wouldn't buy into this. So it is possible. I mean, we see Jim Carrey has gone nuts because he tried to buy, in my opinion, I think he tried to go along with it, and his moral compass just said, I can't do this. And so he tried to call him out, and no one believed him because he's Jim Carrey. So everything's a joke. And I think that has cost him a fair bit of sanity, you know. So it's possible, but if you're wanting to be super, super big, like, probably not.
Gotcha.
You know, yeah. P. Diddy, everything that's coming out about him, it sounds right up the mysteries. It's just like Babylon. They he had to do certain things for his manager, the guy that he took over for as, you know, the kingpin of the sexy times, I guess. Trying to find a YouTube friendly way of putting it. But
The
yeah,
diddly,
see,
diddly
AP?
diddling? Diddy diddling?
Yes.
There
The
you go.
diddy diddling, yes.
Yeah.
AP is correct. Cat is really funny, and he's worth a load of money. You're right, but he really had to do it the hard way because he kept turning them down. He's even got a bit on how he turned them down on 3 separate occasions. How he was at one event with Ludacris, and it was down to him or Ludacris. One of them was going to be initiated in.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and then AP is also right. He disappeared after the Matrix. It was after the Matrix, okay, because the fiance, the pregnant fiance, died. I think it was a car wreck, but that, knowing what I know now, I would be inclined to look at that car wreck again, or look at the accident again, because he had really been yeah, they were pushing him. They were really pushing him, from what I understand, and he wasn't playing the game.
Gotcha.
And then all of a sudden, his pregnant fiance, the love of his life, is dead. I'm fairly certain it was a car wreck as well. Yeah, Diana Tunnel style. It's yeah.
I was gonna get to that. Dave Chappelle, same way, like Comedy Central.
Yep.
And his major contract, and he said, "Nah, fuck this," and kind of got
Yeah.
away from it. And
Yeah, and he managed to make, or well, not make. He managed to keep his career and grow it even more. But there are few and far between who can do that. Kat's one, Dave is one. There are some. Yes, I know he'll be looking for me. I don't have access to guns, and I do not walk in the forests by myself anymore. So yeah, it's possible, but few and far between. You got to be something real special.
Well, and I think that humanity is just in general is, I mean, let's be completely honest. People are lazy. People will
Yes.
take the easiest method of ever getting to, you know, whatever circumstances to be able to get what they need. And I don't fault somebody for that. Like, why do it the hard way? Just
Yeah.
or exceptionally lazy. And I think that in some instances it's appealing. What do you mean? All I have to do is take this drug and
Yeah. It starts out with little things. It really is grooming, whether you're a kid or an adult. It's all about just pushing your boundaries, pushing you little bit by little bit by little bit, and then the next thing you know, you've gone so far over what you thought was your line in the sand. It's a lot easier to just say, "Well, fuck it, I'm here now."
right.
So
Like so, and this leads me into another point. Kind of. So, you know how they say everything on the internet, once on the internet, it's there forever. You can't ever get rid of it.
yes.
I do not buy that anymore. And
Not anymore. No, I've seen things get wiped from the Wayback Machine.
so even worse than that. So, I mean, we talked about the leaks, is the celebrity leaks on the iPhones a while back,
Yes.
and da 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 da. So there are two female college athletes that recently got leaked, and I was under the assumption until last night that you could not erase shit from the internet. Well,
Yeah.
we're kind of dirtbags, as you know. So
I saw the new location in the Discord. Yes.
me and my crack team went searching, And holy shit, I have never had to look for something so hard in my life. Like, normally
Interesting.
you can find things pretty, I mean, like,
You find
look
things
and you'll
without
find it.
wanting to find them.
Right, right. So, like, there were pages on Reddit that were banned. There were pages on X that were, like, creators
Huh.
and accounts that were banned for sharing information. Like, it took
Interesting.
us a good deal of time to find those. And what was there, like 15, 18 pictures? I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know if you look, but like
Not
15,
a whole lot
18
of them.
pictures in 2 videos.
Yeah.
And it took us that long to find them. And like, that's great. That's insane because I didn't think you could get rid of something off the internet, but you can.
You can. Yeah. I'm starting to realize that too. Like I said, someone mentioned that something was not on the Wayback Machine. Like, wait a
Mhm.
minute, what do you mean? Sure it is. And it wasn't. It was gone. So yeah, they do know. And to be fair, the people who run these, like the Zuckerbergs and whatnot, these people have got all sorts of powers over the internet and over us on the internet that
Right.
you know they can do a lot. It just depends on whether they want to or if the price is right.
Right. Right. And so it kind of leads me to why is I don't want to say her name because it's a hot topic right now, but
Yes.
why is this one young lady so important to like go full press and ban
And hide it.
dozens of accounts on the internet and get rid of it? And
Yeah.
D's, if you haven't looked yet, I know you're going to. So there's
He's
there's some light lesbianism and
just light.
yeah, very light. Like, I know you're
But
gonna
yeah,
go.
like who does she know? Who is she? Who's she related to? There's got to be more to it than that because yeah, college aged girl with some, lesbian leanings and pictures and video online. That's a dime a dozen. Why
Right.
why does her stuff get erased?
Well, she's supposedly this poster child for what's right in the world and like doing things right and the unrealistic standards of she's perfect and they tried to, I mean, first round pick in the WNBA and so on and so forth. Like they're trying to get some media attention behind her, and I know that
Yeah.
that's the goal behind it. But like, damn, that takes a
Huh.
lot of effort to lose yourself in everywhere we rechecked. Like
Yeah.
it was impressive. It was impressive that it was gone.
Huh. Yeah, she's I bet you she's related to someone.
Could be.
Somewhere along the way she's related to some, not necessarily someone celebrity famous, but someone who's got some power, some pull in the upper ranks of the alphabet conglomeration, be it the Googles and stuff, or be it your FBI's and CIA's, or somewhere she knows someone with some clout. And if they're already trying to paint her as the poster girl for trad femininity and the good life, then there's a reason she was chosen to play that
Right.
role. So yeah.
Uh,
I mean, what's a little light lesbianism in a college?
exactly. Like, we've all done it.
Well,
Geez, not Wisconsin volleyball. A different Big Ten school basketball. And I don't want to bring any attention. So that's as far as I'm going. Go look, damn it.
yeah, go look
Like,
at the
take you 30
Discord. It's all
seconds.
there.
Like,
See, that's what I'm thinking, AP. She's got someone, someone in her family's got pull, even though they're not necessarily known.
yeah. No, I was surprised by it, and it came up. I know it came up before in the previous, superstar leaks or whatever. And we were looking at it last night, and I was like, holy shit! Like, this is impossible to find this woman. Like, this is crazy. And like all the accounts you went to were completely banned, like banned off Reddit forever.
Wow.
And it's Reddit for,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
like,
wow. You tell me next, you're going to tell me she's been banned off of 4chan too. She's been
right.
wiped.
I mean, it's the shithole of the internet. So
Yeah.
like, I was surprised. I was very surprised.
Yeah.
And I didn't think it was possible until last night to completely erase somebody off the internet or something off the internet.
I knew that it was possible, but only if you've got like real power, you
Yeah.
know? Like Elon might be able to do it, Like he's got a lot of money, but he doesn't have as much power as some people would like to think he does because he's at odds with everyone.
Yeah.
He's always pissing someone off. So all the money in the world, people aren't going to bend to help you out if they don't like you. So I don't even think he could necessarily get stuff scrubbed off the internet like that. At least not that quickly,
Yeah.
because you have to do a lot of sucking up. And she's a nobody. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, she's probably a wonderful woman and super duper talented, but no one had heard of her before now. So who's to say that this isn't 4D chess and they put out the stuff themselves?
Well,
and then that's how they were able to wipe it,
could have been. But I mean, we had to dig pretty deep to get there, and that's what drives me crazy. Because, I mean, there was an initial push where I guess it was there some places, but then we had to dig really deep to find it. She was having an online feud with Antonio Brown, the former receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
Pretty famous guy, kind of lost his mind, went to Central Michigan University, so on and so forth. But she was having an online feud with him, and then he suggested that she was getting her ass handed to her so bad by AB that her PR team leaked the photos to take to take some of the heat off.
Oh.
So that was just suggestion by Antonio Brown. So for what it's worth, but
that could make sense too. But if they're already lining her up to be, kind of the face of all that is good in America, sort of thing, she's got to have connections somewhere.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So no, I mean, just another one of those that it's interesting. Like it's interesting to.
Yeah. If we were hearing about it being, someone super famous and then it getting scrubbed, that's one thing. But yeah, she's still a fairly unknown person.
Yeah.
So that's an awful lot of, backbending to do.
Well, and
for an unknown.
Right. Well, and there's a second. So this is even more confusing. So there's a second young woman that plays for another college basketball team that's supposed to be the next iteration because she just left and went to the WNBA. So there's another one that was supposed to be the next iteration.
Was she the other girl in the photos?
She was another girl in another set of photos that was also leaked. But they were still harder to find than I was anticipating. But I found all of them pretty easily. Like they weren't nearly as hard as the other one. So
interesting.
And both leaked at the same exact time. So it's not like there were days or weeks. Like they were leaked at the same time, and then one was unbelievably difficult, and the other one was,
interesting. It's almost like someone leaked hers, and then everyone's scrambling afterwards to try and take them back, leaking someone else's to try and obscure who did what,
Could be.
Like,
could be.
If hers are that hard to find, then within, the next month, people will forget that hers ever happened because the other girls came out at the same time and they're still easily found. So, yeah, that would be a good way to. Wow. Yeah. See?
Right. And one's for the one that was more difficult to find is from the Midwest, and the one that was a little bit easier is from the Northeast. For what it's worth, I mean, there's all kinds of different factors to kind of consider. I just think it's an interesting proposition.
It is. I
So,
bet you, if we just be patient, she's going to end up being someone. She's going to
yeah,
end up being someone important in our government, or your government rather, in some way.
yeah, I could see that. And to all the people who say I was just finding the pictures to be a perv asshole, no, I was legitimately doing research. You can see I articulated it, so kiss my ass.
There
Anyways,
you go.
so, but no, I think it's I always think these kind of things are interesting. How everything kind of all breaks out and breaks down.
Yeah.
And we see different messages and perspectives and outcomes seemingly from different ways that things happen. So
Yeah. Um, let's see. AP, you're right. I think he's more of a his money is in stuff, in land and stuff like that. He's got the mines. I don't think he's necessarily. We're talking Elon still. I don't think Elon's necessarily got as cash rich as people seem to think.
oh no,
Um,
he has no liquidity at all.
yeah,
None.
yeah,
But he does that intentionally. That's part of his strategy. So
yeah. And then Light Rain. No, I have read bits on Prometheus, but I never did get my hands on a copy. So I will go and look, um, because I know he's supposed to be a decent author.
it was
It was totally. See, AP, we
See?
just used it. It was for the
See?
show.
Digger's backing me up on this. 100% research.
And I've seen the research. I've
Yeah.
seen the work product. So there you
See?
go.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Jason, you haven't missed too much, hon.
What's up, Jason? But so with that little detour,
Yes.
we'll get back to it. Sounds
All
good.
right.
So,
Dear Lady Mary, to live chaste of your body all your life long? And he answers, Yea, sir, with the help of God. And he's again asked, Do you promise to God and to our dear Lady Mary to observe all your life long the laudable manners and customs of our order, both those which are already in use and those which the master and knights may add? And he answers, Yea, sir, with the help of God. And then he's asked, Do you promise to God and to our dear Lady Mary that you will, with the strength and powers which God has bestowed on you, help as long as you live to conquer the holy land of Jerusalem, and that you will with all your strength aid to keep and guard that which the Christians possess? And he answers, Yea, sir, with the help of God. And he's asked, Do you promise to God and to our dear Lady Mary never to hold this or leave this order for stronger or weaker, for better or worse, than with the permission of the master or the chapter which has the authority? And he answered,
that
I
went
saw
through.
that. Yeah, it did go through. It's official. But how do you
Huh.
guys like? I know this is kind of off topic, but how did the Senate do this? Like they approved the bill, so if TikTok doesn't get sold by ByteDance, they're going to ban TikTok. How do you ban TikTok?
Fucking communism. How do
Yeah.
you ban TikTok? So you're gonna end up driving it underground. They're gonna take it off app stores. Same thing they did with what was there was
Oh,
a social
Parlor,
media video
Parlay.
site. Yeah, there you go. Or
Yeah.
was it like Twitter?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be like the next thing, but yeah, it just disappeared, honestly.
Right.
So I don't know how they did that either. So
So they're gonna delist it. They're gonna take all the not allowed. There'll be sanctions for advertisers. The good old song and dance. This is not a bill to protect
no,
yourself or any of your friends, family, otherwise.
yeah,
This is a power grab because 2024, a
yes,
certain time in November, is coming up pretty quick,
really quickly, yes,
and this is your test run to get rid of it. I don't know how the hell they can get rid of I understand it's a foreign app. I understand I'm not endorsing TikTok in any way, shape, or form.
yeah,
I think it's garbage. But I also don't think you'll be able to ban something like that.
yeah. Well, and yeah, that's the thing. And then why are they? Oh, Yeah, no, I'm not. That's a whole other ball of wax.
Nah, fuck
So
it, go for
I
it.
won't go there.
You can go for
But
it.
no, it just seems like if they're able to do that, why didn't they do that with Truth Social or with Telegram? Because both of those are doing better than they should be. You know, if you know what I mean. Like they're both. I mean, Truth Social is just Trump's. You know, it's a shiny social media thing, but
Right.
like Telegram's got a whole ton of stuff on there that they're trying to hide everywhere else. So I don't understand how Telegram stays on the in the Play Store, you know?
Well, I think that ultimately this probably is the ground game for it, and much like they used a certain set of buildings coming down for the Patriot Act, I think
Right.
this is a foreign company that people they felt like they could use the messaging to remove people's interest from using the platform.
Hmm.
And I think ultimately this is going to be the test run. This is the how much resistance, and now we have the framework of the law in place, because the law isn't specifically for TikTok, it's for anything.
Right.
And then they're going to remove the next batch and the next batch, and
Okay.
um, Parler is still there. It's just pointless since AWS controlled their servers for the first 8 months of its existence. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
It's still there. I didn't know it was still there. I'm sure it doesn't have a great user base though.
Yeah.
But I think this is step one of many.
Yeah.
As in,
Welcome. You're well on your way to Canada.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Canada,
Oh, yeah.
and the native land.
It's it's going to be interesting. I think we definitely live in interesting times, and leading up, I mean, we're so close to the next election at this point. Things are just going to get insane.
Things are gonna get nutty.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
They're gonna get
Deez is added to your research folder.
oh shit.
Yeah, see, Linda, I'm staying well and far away from TikTok. I really debated getting on Twitter. Um, and I only did it because it was an easier way of getting a hold of a few people.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, I won't go anywhere near TikTok. My man and I have fallen down the shorts rabbit hole a couple of times lately. Just watch one and then you flip, and then the next thing you know, an hour is gone and you're still watching shorts. They're
It's
dangerous.
it's hella addicting. It's incredibly addicting.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's about the attention span of human, and then you can keep flipping through and finding new programs to watch. So
Yeah, and
um,
that's really helping to keep our attention spans on the short side, which again works right into the mysteries, right?
right, right.
Linda, I just want it because it's banned. Fair enough.
Um, yeah. I split the difference. I'm on Twitter, but never comment. I love Twitter. I absolutely love Twitter. Um, I wish I could get my original account back, because that thing, holy shit! I had so many followers, and I talk so much shit on that.
Yeah.
Um, but I love Twitter. Like, Twitter's my kind of deal. But
I like it. It sounds amazing, but he's going to end up making it um aw, it's a good name.
still gone.
Elon, yo, what's up?
No, he said there's an amnesty for Twitter accounts that got banned during the last bullshit. And I put my tag and everything. I was like, hey bro, like, help me
Yeah.
out. And still banned.
Hmm.
Still.
Well, We're gonna we'll figure it out. We're gonna bring this back. I'm gonna get on all my friends and I'm gonna put it on all the discords and we need to get the good one back.
I would
Or
love to
we
have
could
that
just
account
turn
back.
the other one into the good one. You know,
We could do that.
too. I know it's a little bit more professional, that one, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe one day, but maybe.
Maybe. Yeah.
I love that Twitter, but I love Twitter. I love the idea of Twitter. I love, like, Twitter was great. X is good.
Yeah. I never
Yeah.
got onto it until just before Elon said, "Hey, should I buy X?"
Oh, really?
So I really didn't experience Twitter all that much. It's been X almost the entire time for me.
Huh.
So I don't know how much different it really is. I just know that it's a little bit easier to say stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And it wasn't until Trump came around. It really wasn't. It wasn't really that tough. It really was when Trump started coming around that things got difficult to say.
Okay. Yeah.
Before
Yeah.
that, I was all the time. So
I love his tweets. I miss them. They
yeah.
were so great.
Mhm.
And I just can't be bothered to sign up for Truth Social. There's just another thing that I'm never going to look at.
I signed up for True Social. I don't like the platform. I don't like the interface. It's the same thing that Rumble is, like YouTube. YouTube is a shit company, but they have a superior platform, and
Yeah.
that's what makes it so hard to switch
leave
over.
it.
So I don't know, but all right,
All right.
let's continue on.
Answers, yea, sir, with the help of God. And then he's asked, do you finally promise to God and to our dear Lady Mary never to be present when a Christian is unjustly and unlawfully despoiled of his heritage, and that you will never by counsel or by act take part therein? And he answers, yea, sir, with the help of God. And then, in the name then of God and our dear Lady Mary, and in the name of St. Peter of Rome and of our Father the Pope, and in the name of all the brethren of the temple, we receive to all the good works of the order which have been performed from the beginnings and shall be performed to the end. You, your father, your mother, and all of your family, whom you will let have share therein. In like manner do you receive us to all the good work which you have performed and shall perform. We assure you of bread and water, and the poor clothing of the order, and labor and toil enow. Unquote. Then the candidate was admitted. Don't go away, folks. I'll be right back after this very short pause. With a joyous celebration, the candidate was admitted. The white mantle with its red cross was placed by the master over the neck of the candidate and clasped firmly by him. The chaplain recited the 132nd Psalm and the prayer of the Holy Ghost, and each brother repeated a paternoster. Then the master and the chaplain kissed the new entrant on the mouth. As he sat down before the master, the latter delivered him a sermon on his duties. Knights were equipped more lightly than other crusaders and were issued with shield, sword, lance, and mace. They were allocated 3 horses each, not one with 2 knights riding, but 3 horses each, plus an esquire who was either a serving brother or a layman, perhaps a youth from a noble family anxious to become a knight in his own turn. Retired knights were looked after by the order, became counselors at meetings, and were eventually buried in coffins in their Templar habit with the legs crossed. Many Templar gravestones show the knight with his feet upon a dog, but most show the crossed thigh bones and the skull, known as the skull and bones. The same skull and bones as the Russell Trust, the Brotherhood of Death at Yale, and the same skull and bones displayed upon the flag of the pirates. It was Philip the Fair of France, bankrupt and fearful of the growing power of the warriors of the temple, who laid the conspiracy for the suppression of the order for all time. It has been hinted that Philip had some forewarning that a plot against the throne was afoot, that the Templars, frustrated in their attempts to win back the Holy Land, were about to turn upon Pope and King alike and try to overcome all Christendom. And believe it or not, that's closer to the truth than anything that you have ever heard about the Templars. In 1305, Pope Clement had been crowned through the assistance of the French king and was actually under the control of the French king, and Philip was ready to bring all the power of church and state against the Knights of the Temple. There had been continued rivalry between the Templars and the Hospitallers on the surface. Underneath, they were one and the same. And Clement, 6 months after his enthronement, wrote asking them to visit him for a conference, ostensibly for the purpose of making plans for aiding the kings of Armenia and Cyprus. The Pope was, however, hoping that he could effect a reconciliation between the two orders, which would in turn strengthen his own position as their only ultimate head. William de Villaret, master of the hospital, was fully engaged in an attack upon the Saracens of Rhodes when the invitation arrived, and could not obey it. But Jacques de Molay, Grand Master of the Temple, decided to accept. He handed over the defense of Limassol in Cyprus to the order's marshal, collected 60 knights, packed 150,000 gold florins plus much other treasure, and set sail for France. At Paris, de Molay was received with honors by the king, who was plotting his downfall. In Poitiers, he met Clement and discussed the possibilities of a fresh crusade. De Molay opined that only a complete alliance of all Christendom could be of any avail against the Moslems, and that the amalgamation of the two orders was not a good idea. The Grand Master returned to Paris, and almost at once rumors began to circulate about certain serious charges to be preferred against the order. Troubled at this campaign, the master, together with Rimbaud de Caron, preceptor of Outremer, Geoffrey de Gonville, preceptor of Aquitaine, and Hugh de Parado, preceptor of France, returned to Poitiers to justify the order before the Pope. An audience took place about April of 1307, in which the Pope mentioned the charges which had been made. The commission understood that their answers satisfied Clement and returned to the capital in good heart. But this, dear listeners, was only the beginning. The method by which the charges were originally said to have been made was through a former Templar who had been expelled from the order for heresy and other offenses. The Squin de Flexion found himself in prison, together with another man, a Florentine named Nofo Die. And they thought or were told that they could obtain their release and a pardon for the crime of which they were currently accused if only they would testify against the order. One account has it that De Flexion called for the governor of the prison, saying that he had a disclosure to make which he could tell the king personally, and which would be more to him than the conquest of an entire kingdom. Another chronicle has it that both men were degraded Templars and had been actively engaged in the revolt against the king, during which Philip had been forced to take refuge with the Templars. It is further stated that Cardinal Cantilupo, the chamberlain to the Pope, who had been in association with the Templars since he was 11 years old, had confessed some of their doings to his master. 10 main charges were made by De Flexion against the order. 1. Each Templar, on his admission, swore never to quit the order and to further its interest by right or wrong. 2. The heads of the order are in secret alliance with the Saracens, and they have more of Mohammedan infidelity than Christian faith. And proof of the latter includes that they make every novice spit upon the cross and trample upon it and blaspheme the faith of Christ in various ways. 3. The heads of the order are heretical, cruel, and sacrilegious men. Whenever any novice, on discovering the iniquity of the order, tries to leave it, they kill him and bury the body secretly by night. They teach women who are pregnant by them how to procure abortion and secretly murder such newborn children. 4. They are infected with the errors of the Fraticelli. They despise the Pope and the authority of the Church. They scorn the sacraments, especially those of penance and confession. They pretend to comply with the rites of the Church simply to avoid detection. 5. The superiors are addicted to the most infamous excesses of debauchery. If anyone expresses his repugnance to this, he is punished by perpetual captivity. 6. The temple houses are the receptacle of every crime and abomination that can be committed. 7. The order works to put the Holy Land into the hands of the Saracens and favors them more than the Christians. 8. The master is installed in secret, and few of the younger brethren are present at this ceremony. It is strongly suspected that on this occasion he repudiates the Christian faith or does something contrary to right. 9. Many statues of the order are unlawful, profane, and contrary to Christianity. In fact, some of them are stone penises. The members are therefore forbidden under pain of perpetual confinement to reveal them to anyone. 10. No vice or crime committed for the honor or benefit of the order is held to be a sin. Now, these charges were later augmented by others which were collected through testimony from other enemies of the order, and included such assertions as the use of the phrase Ya Allah, which means O Allah, and the adoration of an idol called the head of Baphomet. In fact, the head of Baphomet was not an idol that they worshipped, but represented the receptacle of the intelligence, or the seat of intelligence, the brain. The light, Lucifer, the gift of intellect, primordial knowing, and that is what really the object of veneration was. Philip and his advisors prepared in great secrecy for the descent upon this powerful organization, the Knights Templar, and on the 12th of September, 1307, sealed letters were sent to all the governors and royal officers throughout France, instructing them to arm themselves on the 12th of the next month and open the sealed orders, and to act upon them forthwith by the morning of Friday, October the 13th. And on that date, almost every Templar in France was in the hands of the king's men, and thus was born the legend that Friday the 13th is an unlucky day. And notice that it was October Friday the 13th, the very first October surprise. Hardly one seems to have had any warning, but they did, because before the king acted, the Templars had moved their wealth, their treasure, their holdings out of the country of France. On the day before his arrest, the Grand Master had actually been chosen by the king to be a pallbearer at a state funeral. The secret orders had it that all Templars were to be seized, tortured, and interrogated. Confessions were to be obtained from them. Pardon might be promised only if they confessed, and all their goods were to be expropriated. But the only thing that they really got were the actual real estate property held by the Templars in France and nowhere else. None of the gold, none of their wealth, none of their jewels, none of their treasures, none of the relics that they had recovered from the Holy Land were ever found. The king himself took possession of the temple at Paris as soon as the Grand Master and his knights were arrested. The next day, the University of Paris assembled, together with canons and other functionaries and ministers, and the chancellor declared that the knights had been proceeded against for heresy. 2 days later, the university met in the temple, and some heads of the order, including the Grand Master, were interrogated. They are said to have confessed to 40 years' guilt, whatever that means. Now, whether de Molay and others confessed on that occasion or not, the king was emboldened to publish an accusation in which he called the knights polluters of the air and devouring wolves. A public meeting was called in the royal gardens and addressed by monks and representatives on this subject. Edward II was the son-in-law of the French Philippe, and to him was sent a priest who invited the English monarch to act at once against the order in Britain. Well, Edward almost at once wrote to say that the charges seemed to him to be incredible. But Pope Clement wrote on November the 22nd to London, assuring Edward that the master of the temple had confessed of his own free will, that knights on their admission to the order denied Christ. Others had admitted idolatry and other crimes. He therefore called upon the King of England to arrest all Templars within his domains and to place their lands and goods in custody until their guilt or innocence should be ascertained. He condemned them to torture by the Dominican monks under the Inquisition until they confessed their guilt or were dead. Now notice the date, folks. November the 22nd in the year 1307. That's a significant date in our history and has direct bearing, as you will see, many hours down the line. Or you can see right now, if you attend my lecture in San Diego on March the 15th at 8 p.m. at the, let me see here, where is it at? At the Lafayette Hotel, 2223 El Cajon Boulevard, San Diego, Monday, March 15th, 8 p.m. Or you can call Stan and find out how to order our tape, The Sacrificed King, or my Atlanta lecture, which is over 7 hours long, including all of the Kennedy material. I bet you knew I was talking about Kennedy's assassination, didn't you? Well, this has direct bearing, as you shall see, eventually. Mm-hmm. Eventually you shall know what it all means. You'll be able to put it all together. Before the King of England received this missive, he seems to have been sorely troubled by the allegations. He wrote on November the 26th to the Seneschal of Agen asking about the charges. On the 4th of December, he wrote to the kings of Portugal, Castile, Aragon, and Sicily asking, quote, what they had heard, and adding that he had given no credit to it, unquote. He wrote to the Pope himself on December the 10th, expressing disbelief of what the French king said and begging His Holiness to institute an inquiry. Well, folks, by December the 15th, when the papal bull arrived, Edward felt he must act upon it without question. On December the 26th, he wrote to the Pope that his orders would be obeyed, but in the interim, Edward had sent word to Wales, Scotland, and Ireland that the Templars were all to be seized, as in England, but they were to be treated with kindness. On October the 19th, less than a week after they had been arrested in France, 140 prisoners were being tortured by the Dominican Imbert in the Paris Temple. Promises and the rack produced many confessions. 36 of the examinees died during these proceedings. Oops. Throughout France, the racks worked overtime and the confessions poured forth. Many good men were crippled for the rest of their life. Many of these were contradictory and confused, and perhaps there is little wonder of that. How many of you could resist even for 5 minutes the tortures of the medieval Inquisition? The Pope now seemed a little uneasy at the arbitrary methods which were being employed. Philip wrote sharply to him saying that he, the king, was doing God's work and rendered accounts to God alone. He offered to turn over all the goods of the Templars to the service of the Holy Land. Clement, still a weakling, merely stipulated that the inquisitions of each bishop should be confirmed by a provincial council, and that the examination of the heads of the order should be reserved to himself. Now we hear a constant succession of confessions and retractions, allegations that the heads of the order confessed completely and spontaneously to the Pope himself. The Pope himself, for some unexplained reason, folks, tried to escape to Bordeaux, but was stopped by the king. Now he was the monarch's captive as well as his creation. Detailed confessions of individual Templars have been kept on record, many of them undoubtedly obtained by extreme racking and other tortures. The Templars who were prepared to defend the order in court were brought to Paris, to the number of 546, deprived of their knightly habits and the sacraments of the church. They had no means to acquire defense counsel. Their numbers rose to 900, and now they clamored for the presence of the Grand Master, who was held elsewhere. An act of accusation in the name of the Pope was drawn up, and 75 Templars drew up the defense. The accusation had it now that, quote, at the time of their reception, they were made to deny God, Christ, the Virgin, etc., and in particular to declare that Christ was not the true God, but a false prophet who had been crucified for his own crimes and not for the redemption of the world. They spat and trampled upon the cross, especially on Good Friday. They worshipped a cat, which sometimes appeared in their chapters. Their priests, when celebrating Mass, did not pronounce the words of consecration. They believed that their master could absolve them from their sins. They were told at their reception that they might abandon themselves to all kinds of licentiousness. They had idols in all their provinces, some with 3 faces, some with 1. They worshipped these idols in their chapters, believed that they could save them, regarded them as the givers of wealth to the order and of fertility to the earth. They touched them with cords which they afterward tied around their own bodies underneath their robes, and that is still practiced today by Freemasons and by the Mormon Church. Those who at the time of their reception would not comply with these practices were put to death or imprisoned. The reply of the Templars denied every charge and stated that they had been subjected to every kind of illegality since their arrest. 54 of the knights who had volunteered to defend the order were committed to the flames, having been declared relapsed heretics before the trials had even started. And you'll see this number 54 crop up later and even in the modern day. And sometimes it's 54 plus 1, the Grand Master, who later was burned at the stake. 4 years to the day after the first arrests, the Pope led a convocation of 114 bishops to come to a final decision about the Templar order. Well, folks, the prelates of Spain, England, Germany, Denmark, Ireland, and Scotland called for the Templars to be allowed to defend themselves. The Pope retorted by closing the session almost at once. He would not hear of it. Out of 1,500 to 2,000 Templars who were in hiding in the vicinity, 9 knights actually came forward to testify for the order. The Pope doubled his guard and sent a message to the king to do the same. As there was still danger from the hidden knights, they were not heard. Only 1 Italian prelate and 3 French ones voted to prevent the order from putting in its defense. Now Philippe, deciding that something should be done to hasten affairs, set off for Venice in the conference. His arrival had an electric effect. On his sole authority, the Pope almost immediately abolished the order in a secret consistory. And this was on March the 22nd in the year 1313. And 1313 plays a significant number later on, as that was a famous address in New Orleans, as some of you may remember. On May the 2nd, when the bull was published, the order ceased officially to exist. The Grand Master, assumed but not proved to be guilty, was sentenced to perpetual imprisonment. Most of the other knights were released, and many of these passed their remaining days in poverty. De Molay and one of his chiefs, Guy of Auvergne, pronounced or proclaimed their innocence on the public stage to which they had been taken to have sentence announced. The king, upon hearing them recant their confession, immediately had them committed to the flames. And some say that while he was being burned at the stake, that de Molay cursed both the Pope and the King of France, stating that within a certain short period of time, he would meet them in another life in front of God, who would judge them for their crimes. And believe it or not, folks, well within the period of time, which was not very long, both the Pope and the King of France were dead, and I'm sure joined Jacques de Molay in front of God for their final judgment. We are in no way finished with the story of the Knights Templar. But until tomorrow night, good night, and God bless each and every one of you.
All right. So,
So it's starting to, or at least I'm starting to hear names that we're still hearing about today, like Skull and Bones.
Right.
That's the junior, not the senior. Um, I'm not sure about the senior. The senior's tied in some way, but I don't think he was actually in like a university level starter, group, I guess.
Yeah.
That's how I see them in my mind's eyes. The youngins have been raised in this with this belief system their whole life, but their first starter group is in university, and that's where they can kind of start to were they both in there? I didn't want to say and then be wrong, so I'm not certain that senior was in it, but
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if they were both in it.
yeah, I know junior was, but to me it seems like it's kind of like the starter. It is basically University of the Mysteries, right?
Right.
It's the other university that the elite kids go to. Oh,
Well, and I mean that was evident because you had people like you had Bush and Gore that both
yeah,
both running against each other, both hate each other, and both part of the same group. And you see that throughout history, and people think, "Oh, it's just a coincidence or whatever." But
yeah,
you see, like the stars thing it's getting it's getting just crazy because you'll have like 7 movie stars and they all went to the same high school. Well, what the hell? Like that's not normal
mm-hmm,
for the distribution of so many, you know, Hollywood megastars to be part of the same exact class of the same exact group at the same exact time. Like that just doesn't
yeah.
it's
Well,
highly improbable.
nepotism is one of their favorite tools, right?
Yeah.
So whether it's the celebrity or the banking or whatever group, um, it's still a family job.
Right.
So it's a lot easier to sell it to people who were born and raised in families who believe it than it is
Right.
to some unknown who comes from normal places like us.
Right.
And that's how there's so many people that celebrity has just chewed up and spat out. Rose McGowan is one. She disappeared because she dared to call them out. And I mean, I don't know if anyone else has heard from her lately, but I think it was a year or two back. She once again called out the Clintons. She was with Larry Alders.
Huh.
Is that the guy's name? The senator, black dude, well spoken, older. I think
Yeah.
it's Larry Alders.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't know
Yeah.
that for sure, but I think you're right.
Yeah. But she came out with them and she was telling the truth again all these years later. And then within the space of I think it was a month, she had been followed and run off the road, and her place had been broken into and completely ransacked, and she's disappeared again off the face of the earth again. You
Yeah.
know, and she's just one of the ones that dared to try and say something. You know. And there's a lot of people who have just been ruined. Um, like I joke about it, but in a way it's true. It's not really your fault as Americans, but I joke that Justin Bieber was this sweet, talented young man, this adorable little kid, and then we gave him over to America and Hollywood, and look what he's become now.
Yeah,
You
that was
know?
a bad idea.
Yeah, yeah. But that happens to a lot of kids. And the
Mhm.
thing is, you don't hear about them because they're chewed up and spat out. And then they're
Right.
just, it's like they never existed,
Yep.
you know? So, yeah, that one was Diddy's fault. Um,
Right.
but there's so many. Think of all the child stars that made it.
Mhm.
And now think about the stuff that we've learned over this last little while, and it really makes me rethink my opinions on a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of people um, who have been in Hollywood for so long, and they've been so popular in it, they can't not know about it at the very least. You know, and at the very worst, that they're in on it, they're
Yeah.
about it. You know,
Yeah.
so
And I think that's the part that gets lost in um, is that there has to be some kind of knowledge of it, of these things happening, one, and two, there's it's I don't know, like you just would think that there's something going on to that end where um you at least have some kind of knowledge of it. Maybe you're
yeah,
not directly involved with it, but you know what's going
you
on,
know
like
what's going on.
like the Weinstein stuff. Like
Yeah,
everybody knew about it, and they testified that everybody knew about it. So
yeah, and yet it was just okay. And then I
yeah,
think about families that have really been in there generationally, and you gotta wonder, like, what did they do to be able to hold on like that? You know,
right.
there's a few famous names. At this point, I'm not going to say anything, but there's some really really famous last names in Hollywood that go back generations,
Mhm.
um, and like people who were child actors my age, um, whose parents and grandparents and great grandparents were all super famous in Hollywood.
Yeah.
You know, like, what on earth did they go through, and what all are they willing to accept as normal?
I I think ultimately they're willing to accept whatever furthers their current situation, like whatever's going to make them more amenable to fame and success. And I I just I don't know that it can ever be worth it. I don't know that it's ever going to be worth it.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I mean, unless, like, there's one, um I'm thinking that their family were were they taking notes even? Like,
Right.
actually, there's two that I can think of. They must have been taking notes and keeping the everyone's baggage. You know, any dirt that they get, it's now a family item that can be used down the line against, you know, others, of the same. Like, it's just it's insane. It's War of the Roses
Mhm.
almost. You know, um, Epstein was as amazingly horrified as I was by learning that someone like Epstein could exist. Um, he was not the first, and he was not the worst.
Yeah.
And that's what, you know. It's another reason why I am so thankful for God. I That's exactly where I wanted to be. That was the career I was aiming for. Um, I was starting my career in Hollywood North, for crying out loud.
Mhm.
Um, that's where I wanted to be. And unfortunately, I found drugs the same time as I started chasing that career. And the drugs won out, kept me out of Hollywood. But looking back on things, maybe it's a good thing,
Right.
you know? Maybe I would have been another one that was just chewed up and spat out, or worse. What
Right.
if I conformed? Because I can tell you, the person I am now, my beliefs and my morals haven't changed. And yet, when the COVID came around, everyone that I know, everyone that I know that I love, um, they all fell for it, and they're still falling for it. They're still taking their boosters and
Mhm.
yada yada. It's just ridiculous. And to see to see them doing that, I know I must have been like that at one point. So would I have been willing to take the jab? And if I was willing to take the jab, would I have been willing to close my eyes and pretend I didn't see what I saw if I had made it to Hollywood? Like I'm trying to I'm trying to put myself in the position of someone who was there and having to exist in it. How do you fall for that?
Well,
How do you just decide that, yeah, yeah, no, this is okay. This is
oh,
normal.
they also don't get people that are in, their mid to late 30s, early 40s, that kind of range. Like
That's true.
they know what's the best situation for them to be successful. So they're getting kids when they're 12,
Yeah.
15, when there's a huge impact to all this kind of stuff. They're not waiting till people are developed and are capable of critical thinking,
Yeah.
because I mean, I I consider myself to be at least average to above average intelligence, and I was an asshole until I hit 30. Like
Yeah.
I, I did stupid things and probably made some boneheaded mistakes that, you know, um and thought I knew what was best and what was right, but I didn't. And I think we're all kind of in that same boat where,
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. You're still really, the younger you get a person, the more malleable they are. And even at, you're in your late teens, early 20s, you're still pretty malleable. You're only just walking into the real world.
right.
So, yeah, drugs and alcohol are huge tools. I
Yeah,
know. And sex as well.
exactly. Like,
um,
and I mean, they have it all available, and it's like, all right, well,
and
you
it's
can have all of
okay.
this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's hard to turn down. Like I'm sure it's hard,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
to
and that's
turn
what
down.
I mean, I was a functioning drug addict. I was one of those ones who was a full-on addict, but I could, get up in the morning and get myself together and go to work and work all day, and you know, I didn't look like an addict
Yeah,
at all. Um and yeah, had I gone when I was working on the career, when I was, trying to get into Hollywood things, it's quite likely I would have, well, honestly, I probably would have been chewed up and spat out. I probably would have ended up dead of an OD or something anyways. But yeah, I was pliable enough, and I wanted the Hollywood story. I wanted the career. I wanted to be, a part of it. So I don't think I would have had any problem doing some of the drugs and taking the alcohol. And, once you're high enough or drunk enough, you'll do a lot of stuff that you couldn't imagine yourself doing otherwise.
yeah. Well, and again, it doesn't even have to be. Look at, I mean, there are ways to make people give on in on things. Like, look at these beautiful women and this car and this, so on and
Yeah.
so forth. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, fuck it. Where do I sign up? Like, it's they play on things that people enjoy, and these aren't, especially when you're in that teen to early 20s to mid 20s, like hell yeah, like I'll I'll do this for, that or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's not that crazy, and it's something that is a weakness for a lot, if not all of us. So
Yeah. And that's the thing too. They're whether we're talking about, well, no matter what industry, again, these people are so good um, at doing this. They're able to find your weakness and get you to do it anyways. You
Mhm.
know, like they're so good at finding the dirt and using it at just the right time. They've been. It definitely is a generational. Um, it is. It's a religion. It's a religion, no matter what they want to call it, whether they're saying they were in Skull and Bones, or they're Christian, Catholic, you name it. They'll say whatever they need to say and pretend to be whatever they need to pretend to be, as long as it gets them to the end goal.
Right.
And I guess each new generation is just hoping that they're the ones that get to benefit from the fruits of everyone else's labor.
Right.
I
Well,
guess.
and again, it's propaganda and it's weakness, and people are naturally weak. Like it
Yeah.
takes there's a reason it's called exceptional, because it's an exception that people are strong or people can resist or say no. Like most people
That's
are
true.
weak and will just say, yeah, like I get I get girls and money and cars and like
Woohoo!
hell yeah, sign me up. Like
Yeah.
I don't care what I have to do. Like,
Yeah.
so it's easier than, I mean, I'm not gonna get the same result on a 9 to 5 and going to college to do this and that. Like
Yeah.
obviously my only pathway to those things is this, and
And
they
it
make
looks
it
like fun too.
right. Well, that's the other half of it, is they make it look appealing. They make it look like that's what you're missing, and it's just not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but it takes time to realize that. You don't realize that when you're younger.
When you're in it.
Yeah. So
Yeah. But
they have
it's
captivity and the resources and propaganda, and they have it all. So
yeah. Yeah, they've oh my. Sorry, my cat's freaking out all of a sudden. I'm just making sure.
No, you're good.
She comes sprinting at me. The TV's coming over, so. uh, but yeah, it's crazy, and the fact that it's so ingrained in so many different aspects of our lives. We see it in the ads that are being personally pushed towards you, with
Mhm.
these days, and we're seeing it in everything. Um, but like I said before, I think that's the good thing too, is because they're being so blatant. I know I'm seeing it more because I'm knowing what it is. I can identify it, but everyone's seeing it more. There's an awful lot of people going, "Hey, wait a minute, that's not right," and that's the good thing. Enough people can see what's really going on. The light gets shone on it, and you know they're not winning as much as I think they hoped they would be by this point.
Yeah.
Um, just as an example, they had an Agenda 2000, which became an Agenda 20, which became an Agenda 20. What was it, 2022? And now it's Agenda 30
Yeah.
with the UN. Like, they've got a plan and they have an end goal, and they're gearing towards it. But we've managed to stall them out time and time again.
Mhm.
So that's what gives me hope for us. There's enough people who keep waking up and seeing it that maybe we can stop some of the horribles. You know.
Hopefully.
Mel Gibson basically lost his career. They tried to make him out to be some sort of drunk, I believe, was his thing, but they blackballed him. He had to go back to Australia and really be behind the scenes, all because he wasn't okay with it. And,
Yeah.
you know, even then, he didn't speak out about it. They made it so tough that he couldn't speak out about it. He just went away in silence, and it wasn't until that movie was finally taken off the shelf and dusted off and put out there that he was able to um, get anyone to hear the stories, you
Yeah.
know? So I can't imagine how many people who didn't have that kind of talent that just got thrown away,
Right.
because he's got talent. He's got a lot of talent, and they were able to blackball him and send him hiding in a little hole somewhere. Like, because he wasn't even like he goes back to Australia and he's famous there. Like, he disappeared. He
Mhm.
really did go dark. They've got a lot of power.
Oh yeah.
And the only hope that we've got is getting a lot of people's eyes on it. And thankfully, with things like P. Diddy and Epstein, some of these things are coming out. Um, we'll see. We'll see how far that goes. But if P. Diddy could just be another Roland Polanski, and he'd be a total filth, just evil, but able to run away and disappear into some place where they can't extradite him.
Mhm.
And now he can live out the rest of his life happily doing what he loves to do, totally safe.
Right.
Polanski had a great life, and he had a lot of success after the fact, after he ran away. But that's because he's got this monster, this machine behind him. Because they've
Yeah.
got to protect him. They've got to make sure that he's okay, or else it'll hurt them.
Mhm.
And I think that's the thing again. The more light gets shone on these things, the more people, normal people that see this, hopefully we can stop some of the worst of it from happening. I think their plan is going to go on no matter what. And I don't think there's anything any of us can do to stop it, but we can slow it down,
Yeah.
and we can, whenever possible, bring it out into the lights and stop these things from happening. So
And hopefully we keep clawing away at that and keep winning. But
mhm.
yeah, it's I don't know. It seems like the deck is definitely stacked against us. So
Well, and again, that's I'm really glad that I've found God, because now that I know that He is true and it is true, um, I know what His plan is, and I know that He's going to win in the end.
gotcha.
Unfortunately, shit's going to get a lot
Yeah.
worse before it gets better. But on the flip side, I think we're a hell of a lot closer to the end of times than I think I ever thought we would be. I never
Right.
thought to be part of the end time, group. Never. And yet I can see it. We're getting closer and closer. So
Yeah, I think ultimately we'll probably be part of that group.
yeah, I'm starting to think that, yeah, we might actually see it alive, which is crazy. Yeah, to me, that was always, even before I had realized that God was real, um, I knew enough biblical history to know what they what they said was going to happen, And I never thought I'd be one of the 144,000, you know. I never thought I'd have to worry about being a part of the Church of Laodicea. Um, it's yeah, it's crazy. The last couple of years have really opened up my eyes to a lot of stuff. Um, yeah, I don't know. Things are crazy. We live in interesting times. It's a blessing and a curse. I believe it's an ancient Chinese one. Um, but we really do live in interesting times, and who knows what's going to happen next. So
Yeah. I mean,
the more we
that's for
know,
sure.
the better. But, you know, the more we can learn about them, rather, the better. But who knows what's going to happen in an hour, or, you know, especially now we've got Israel
Russia.
and Russia, and yeah, Iran's getting in there now. And it's just, I heard someone said something about them actually having killed the red heifers. So I
bet
don't
that's
know if,
cheese.
yeah, honestly, it may have been him actually that said that they had done it. Um, so I don't know. I I have no idea what they expect to have happen now. You know, I don't know why. Like, I'm not even 100% sure as to why they did it. Like, what was the sacrifice for or to? You know, so um, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what they're looking for. But there's an awful lot of people, whether you believe it or not, that do believe in these things.
Yeah.
Um, and they are people that really shape the way the world works. So
Yeah. I know Cheese was talking about how they were destroying one of the Israeli temples, or going to, um, so they could bring on their own version of the prophecy, blah, blah, blah.
yeah, I
Um,
think they're trying to bring in the Messiah. Like when Jesus came, they denied him.
okay.
So as far as they're concerned, they're still waiting for that Messiah to come, the King.
Okay.
So I think that this red heifer sacrifice was supposed to help prompt the Messiah to come.
Okay.
But yeah, that's about as much as I know about it. So I did, if it did happen, you know, the end didn't just instantly happen. So I don't know what they have planned next.
Right.
But they must
Um,
have something. They've been planning this forever. So
right. Well, so you have to like understand from the outside, like when somebody says, yeah, prophecy is somebody's going to kill a red cow and that's going to bring back Jesus. Like people are just sitting, people like me are like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like that makes no sense. Like none. And
mhm.
and I know that I don't know it as well as others and inside and out, but like that just sounds, it, honestly, it sounds batshit crazy. And I think that's where religion often loses a lot of people like myself, because it's just like, no, like they're gonna come when we kill some red cows, and I'm like, huh, you
Yeah.
know?
Apparently they have tried to do this before. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. Um oh, sorry, amazing. Yes, you're kind of
That's
on the
amazing.
later side, but that's okay. You can catch us on the
Yeah,
replay.
yeah,
And yes, AP, I think if they imported 4 Hillary Clintons instead of 4 red heifers, I think we would have been toast. I think, yeah, some
yeah,
vortex to hell would have opened up and sucked us all in.
yeah. Fuck CERN. If they clone that bitch, we'd be
We'd
done.
be hooped. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Especially if it's like synchronicity and each one gets a little dumber.
right.
It's a little more dangerous.
Yep. What is, just out of curiosity, because I heard it and Bill talking about it, and I've heard it before.
Mhm.
But what is Baphomet?
Baphomet is, from my understanding, it's just another name for um, the devil or, Lucifer.
Okay.
He is the goat-headed, man-bodied, goat-legged being. That creature that they show,
Hmm.
with the hands pointing up and down. That's Baphomet.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's similar to when Mohawk sinks a tomahawk in a tree to declare war.
Okay.
What the fuck? What's
So it's
that
their
supposed to
line in the sand to start the war.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which would make sense because, from my understanding, they would have to tear down the temple of the mountain in order to do the sacrifice. So, and that's kind of what I was waiting for, because right now, the Muslims, I believe, are the ones that have the temple, have control of the temple there. So, I was of the understanding that they would have to tear it down to do the sacrifice, but apparently not, because if they had torn it down, every Muslim in the world would have been, we would have seen it. They would
Yeah.
have been furious. And
Well, Israel published the hell out of when Iran attacked Israel. They published the hell out of the photo showing the Temple Mount and the Iron Dome
yeah,
intercepting missiles going over Temple Mount. So I know that was another thing that we talked about. And
yeah.
cheese and I.
See, and yeah, Cheese is the one that knows best there. Um, Amazing is saying, you don't have to believe in it. It's the issue of the temple being built that will unleash havoc, because it's a sacred site to Islam. Jews aren't even supposed to pray there.
Hmm.
The sacrifice will be on Mount Olive. Oh, okay. That's why I'm like, I was wondering if they'd done it already and I hadn't heard anything. And Baphomet is half man, half woman, half life, half death. Comes from a star on Orion's belt. The Church of Satan adopted him as God, but he represents Luciferian, which is what the Masons are on. So the
Okay.
devil is the devil. Baphomet, Beelzebub, etc., are servants of the devil. Okay. Okay, thank you. I just figured it was same or different names for the same dude. Satan was the agent of Lucifer, as per the mysteries.
Okay.
Right. Because it was Satan that offered up the apple
Oh, okay.
to Eve.
Gotcha.
So yeah, interesting. I always thought of the devil as because it's God, Jesus, God the Son, and the Holy Ghost. So I always thought of Lucifer as having a same or a similar 3 parts person. And that's who I thought, Beelzebub, Baal, however you want to name him. I always thought he was just, parts of the same guy.
Okay.
Yeah, but apparently not. Apparently not. They're separate. They're separate beings and are servants. So interesting.
So there's hierarchy on the other side as well,
Oh yeah.
basically. Okay.
Oh yeah. Lucifer was like, he was a favorite. He had the most beautiful singing voice. Oh, here's Cheese. See, you say his name enough times and he appears.
Baal is the
And
god
sacrifice.
Jews worship.
Yeah, Baal is the god Jews worship.
Okay.
I thought the Jews worshipped the same god as I do. I thought Baal was the alternate god.
I've heard of worshiping Baal, but I thought it was more on the devil side of things. Devil's side
Yeah.
of the coin.
Okay, AP is saying sort of. Their servants, the angelology is wild. I know there are different types of angels, and yeah, the hierarchy. It's crazy. And then some people say that the giants were made when the Nephilim, the giants, were made when some of the angels decided to procreate with some of the daughters of man. But from my understanding, angels don't procreate. Like that's not even a thing. There is no sexual urge, even. It's so yeah. I don't know. There's an awful lot of it that I don't know, and
The angels seem deceptive. Just looking at it from the in or outside in, like the angels always have seemed to be deceptive. Like, to me, just
yeah. Well,
like if
I
I was
don't
gonna
know.
write the lore, I would make them deceptive. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like,
I see. Yeah, okay, I see. I don't know if they're deceptive is necessarily a nefarious thing, because they'll, even though the only one who knows everything is God, he's
Mhm.
the only one who can see the beginning and the end. Um, but they must know a whole ton more than we humans do. So they've always had to be secretive. They can only say what they're allowed to say and nothing more. Um, because we've got this wonderful free will that has to be protected.
Yeah.
So we have to choose things on our own.
Right.
They found symbology in Jewish temples referencing Baal as someone of worship.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, when Moses came down from the mountain, they were worshiping idols. Yeah, they had built the golden calf, and yeah, Moses wasn't even gone all that long. They saw him. Yeah, that's crazy. That's one of the things God loves you, and he's got a soft spot in his heart for the underdogs, because he picked the most unruly, disobeying. He called them stiff-necked peoples, and they are. They just they see God on the mountaintop, and they see Moses going up into the clouds, where he's up there speaking with God and writing out the commandments. And they get so bored in such a short time that they've already built a golden calf and started to worship it before Moses has a chance to come back down the mountain.
Like, bro, I just went to grab smokes. Like, come on.
Exactly. What
Holy
do you
shit.
mean we're out of beer? But I was just down the road. Yes, that's exactly it. So, God is good when he chooses the most unruly people to make his own. Um, and then he decides these stiff-necked people need to start accepting all of us Gentiles into the family, um, as long as we believe in God and Jesus, and as long as we understand that, we're like, I am now grafted into the Jewish family tree, so I could be considered a Jew, even though not by blood. Um, that's what happens to Gentiles who find God and believe in him and pray to him through Jesus and all of that. We become Jewish spiritually. So that's just bringing a whole big mess into an already huge mess. And God's gotta have a big heart if he's willing to put up with everything that all of us do. you know, like Yeah, he's got to be something special, and Jesus is willing to come because he was an angel, right? There's discussion as to which angel he was, and I won't even get into that because I don't even know all the parts of it. But he was definitely an angel before he volunteered to be born as a human and spend an entire life as a human um, without sinning, you know? Because that's that's the key. He did it without sinning. He did it perfectly, and then he died and was resurrected, so that the rest of us didn't have to do it perfectly because we can't. We don't have the power. But he, as an angel, turning into a human and living an entire sin-free life as a human, that's pretty huge.
Yeah.
You know, you don't do that for just anyone. You know. So,
Especially
yeah.
in today's day and age, like I don't think you can. I don't think you can live quote sin free or even close.
Oh
I don't
no,
even think it's.
no. Well, and God knew that we couldn't. That's why Jesus ended up doing what he did for us. It's because we can't. We're powerless.
Yeah.
It's a part of us as much as it's a part of the world. So, the best we can do is try to live better lives. You know, try to do better and be better. But we wanted, yeah, we had to do better and be better. But he knows that we're going to fail at that, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really helpful to me. So no matter how bad it gets, and it's going to get bad, um, he loved us enough to do all of that, and we're going to be okay. When the end finally comes, we'll be okay. We just got to hold on till then.
Yeah. For sure.
Okay,
But
Linda. Oh,
yeah.
sorry. Yeah,
No, go
Linda.
for it.
We'll discuss that later because that's a whole nother discussion in and of itself. I know he's a part of the trilogy, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Um, but I thought he was an angel until um, he became human, and then now that he's gone back up, he's retained his angel powers. He was the highest angel, I thought. But that's again, I'm a baby Christian, and that's kind of over my head. I don't know how, because I've heard a few people discuss whether or not he was the angel Michael or Gabriel or not an angel at all, and I have no idea. So we should discuss this, Linda, because I need enlightening. I am always interested in learning because yeah, I don't know a whole lot, and a lot of what I do know is lore. I came at this loving history and archaeology and conspiracy theories. You know, I like these thought problems. I can pick apart and see what I decide I like. Um, and that's what I was doing with God. I just accidentally proved him right or proved him to be real. So it was not the result I was looking for or expecting, but you know, I knew there was a higher power in this world, something somewhere, but I didn't know specifically God, and I didn't know him. It's really neat. They call him the living God, and that's the thing. He really is living, um, and we can get to know him as a person. You know, um, I'm slowly starting to. I love how much humor is in the book of Matthew. Um, it's you can see the humanity in a God, in the God. It's astounding sometimes, um, just how great of a person he is. You know. So I can't wait. Life is tough and it's going to get a heck of a lot worse. But end of the day, we get to see heaven and meet God. And as my pastor likes to say, he can't wait to sit down in the movie theater and start watching all these events unfold on the big screen in front of him. So, can you imagine like going to the movie theater and saying, "Okay, I want to watch the Titanic," and we can actually watch the real events, what was really happening as it happened?
That would be pretty cool. But
Yeah.
I feel like that would get angry because history's not what they told us it was going to be.
Yeah, but by that time we are in our new bodies, in our new heavenly bodies, and I don't think there's going to be no need of anger anymore. You know, when sin is dispelled and we're in our new bodies, sin won't exist anymore, and the new heaven and the new earth will be so much better because there is no sin. We can watch these events and understand the events, how they happened and why they happened, but there won't be the anger of against the people who did it or set it up or anything like that. Not just the Titanic, but any big event. I think that's going to be the coolest part, is sitting down and seeing what really did happen, and finally getting a proper understanding of the thing, of an event.
Right.
To me, I don't think there's no need to feel anger because it's happened and it's so far in the past and nothing like it will ever happen again. But I guess it's just because I'm a history buff. I love stories, and there's so many stories that we just don't know the truth about, and I can't wait to find out.
Yeah, I think it would be kind of cool to see some of the stuff that's happened. To get clarity on. For me, it's to get clarity on some of the stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that yet again, there's just so much. There's so very much that it's hard to navigate all of it.
Yeah.
Very hard. But I'm working on it. So
So am I.
So
you guys in chat definitely help quite a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No more than I do, that's for sure.
Yeah, see, I kind of stayed away from angels because I know that there's a whole bunch of angels in the Catholic religion, and I understand. I think that they worship or pray to them as well, or something along those lines. So I just stayed away from the whole angel thing. I'm sticking to the Father, the Son, and the Heavenly Spirit, and keeping it simple. I know there are angels, but I don't need to know a whole lot about them right now.
Right. Yeah, I know there's a lot with the whole angel thing, but I don't know what they are or why or anything like that. So
I want to see one of the ones with they're like a big ball that's just billions of different eyes and wings.
See, that sounds like an alien.
Well, I don't know.
So.
I think this sounds so cool. I just picturing it, imagining it is just so cool. So seek guidance from. Okay, yeah, not praying to the angels, but seeking guidance from them.
Okay.
And yeah.
Oh.
Ooh, and there's a movie. Okay, I'm gonna go back and find that movie suggestion. But yeah, no, I'm always willing to learn more, and I am loving doing this series because I'm learning more about. I always saw that there was another player in the game, so to speak, and from this series, I'm really starting to see the player, or at least how the player works. What its moves are.
Right.
which is just amazing. And the more I learn, the more I see, and the more I see, the more confident I become, because at least I know I can't. Well, I can, but it's going to be a lot harder to deceive me.
Yeah.
You know, when the time comes, and the time will come. You know, we're all going to be. I'll be hooped first. I'll let you guys, if I'm wrong and we can come back and be ghosts and stuff, I promise I'll come back and let you guys know that I was wrong. So give you guys a little bit of a head start there. But yeah, I can't wait to see after the end. The end is going to be horrible. And it scares me. But after the end, when everything starts new again, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I can't wait for. And sitting around watching movies of what happened in history, what really happened in history, I think is going to be a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it can be. I just think it's going to be really painful getting to that point. But
yeah, I think
that's what I'm not.
We'll be past that. You know, by the time we get into heaven, we'll be past that point. The anger won't be a thing.
Yeah. Hopefully.
But yeah, that's my hope. Because yeah, we're when we get that new body, we're getting a new self, right? Like our personality, our consciousness will be us still, but I think we're gonna get a whole lot of understanding and I think it's just gonna be it's gonna be so good that it doesn't matter, because it'll never be that way again. But now I really am waxing poetic. And I know we've got to end, but yeah, I'm really loving doing this series with you guys. I'm learning as much as you guys are, if not more. So, and I love seeing that there are other people that are seeing it. So I know I'm not crazy. Hi,
Yeah,
Jenny. You made it home, eh?
Hey. And it's one of those things where we're kind of, blending today with before and what's coming and distant past, and
Yeah.
so I think it's a neat way to kind of to break it down. It's not just sitting here like going through it, but we're today is so interesting, and tomorrow is going to be even crazier.
Yeah.
And I think when you can see it in the context of what's happening right now, I think it's that much easier to digest. So
Yeah.
it makes more sense. But
Yeah. And I think just by being able to recognize it, that'll make it easier to recognize the good parts too. you
Yeah.
know? So
for sure.
yeah, and I can't wait, because now, I can't wait. I say that every week. This series is so much fun, but now we're starting to get into the secret societies that, more contemporary. So more people have knowledge on these things. It's going to
Gotcha.
be, yeah, I do believe we go through the symbology of the Freemasonry of JFK's death.
Okay.
And if we don't go through it in this series, I think he does. But if we don't, he's touched on it on a few different occasions. So we can put together a big thing.
Okay. Well,
Oh, sorry. I got sidetracked by the chat. But yeah, we can we can put together a proper thing, because the amount of Freemason symbology and mystery Babylon symbology just in the land that it actually happened on.
Right.
Just that piece of Texas, that little block. There is so much symbology within just it. It's insane.
Well, that's kind of one of those proof points of, well, that's what happens if you're successful and you're not part of it. Like, they're going to eliminate you anyway. So it takes some of the motivation away to be like, I want to do better, because then you're just gonna get shot in a car in Dallas.
Yeah, but you never know. You never know just how much good you can get done before you get shot in a car in Dallas by your driver.
True. Yeah. By the guy that's beat out of you. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. People are noticing now. They're like, "Oh, wait a minute. The bottom half of that tree is just not there." And it's crazy because I never noticed it before I knew to look either. But then you see it and you're just like, "Wait a minute. How does that just pass for decades? Right. It passes, but it does." And
because people believe it.
Yeah, and it's all about the smoke and mirrors, the stories they tell us, the pre-programming that gets us. They keep warning us in advance now of what's coming, that it's easier to be prepared. Like, they did COVID in 2012 and they told us they were going to do it, and they worked it all out in the plans and practiced and everything. They wrote a paper on it, but no one really paid any attention. But more and more people are starting to pay attention now. And this is where it's going to get interesting, because they're going to have to pull out all the stops, and they're going to have to evolve, because they're not doing near as good as they think they are, in my opinion.
Well, it all comes down to propaganda, and they're damn good at propaganda.
Yes, especially when people don't know that they're being propagandized too.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but all right. Well, until next week.
Yes.
No, I'm not even going to say it. Just be surprised if there's a show tomorrow. Like, I gotta get it done. I know I gotta get it done. Like, we have one more left to get to current. I've just been
modern day.
Shit is nuts, but hopefully it slows down here for at least 5 minutes. Someday we'll get caught up, but I'm not convinced it's going to be tomorrow, but I'm going to try.
Okay, well, I'll keep my my eye on it just in case there's a last minute notification. And I will catch your next talkie for sure. Yeah,
for sure. So
awesome.
But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you as always for watching. Please hit that like button on the way out. And
yes, I like chicken nuggies. Sorry.
Yeah, watch answering that question, because there's a follow-up to it that I know is coming.
Oh, okay.
That you wouldn't know about.
No, okay. I'll wait to see it in Discord. Thanks, you guys.
Don't watch the video. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
But until next time, thank you guys. Have a great night, and we'll talk to y'all later. Take care.